All right, guys, thank you all so much for coming. This is beyond our wildest. Here, I'm going to take. This is beyond our wildest expectations for this. So I'll give you a little bit of background. When we thought about doing this, my wife and I, Landon, I don't know if most of you know her, some of you don't. We were watching TV and we saw what was going on in America, and it was the night that David Dorn died, the St. Louis captain. And she said, "We've got to do something. We've got to do something to let people know that we're here, we exist, and that we're not okay with this, and that we support our police, we support our law enforcement, we support our veterans." And so here we are. But when that happened, I said, that's a great idea, hon. Let's do it. I bet we get, maybe 20, 30 people here. I didn't think that, you all would show up. So it's amazing. I do want to turn it over first to Gretchen. Gretchen Smith, she does Code of Vets. She's going to lead us in the pledge.
All right, let's face this flag right here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. So next, I actually want to bring up two girls that we met here. This wasn't planned. These two little girls, they came here really early, and they were looking at a stone for their grandfather, who was a veteran. So I want to bring them up so they can say something about their grandpa.
Hi, I'm Riley. And I'm Macy. And we're here to honor our grandfather, Michael Rice. He was in the Secret Service. He was in the Vietnam War, and we miss him, and he was a very brave man. We miss him very much, and he was so brave. And we love him so much. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Landon, for letting us come up, and thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you guys. So next up, I'm going to have my wife, Landon, come up and do the prayer for everybody. So.
Hi, everybody. God, we thank you for being with us here today as we come together at this critical time in our country. We humbly ask for your leadership and guidance in the days ahead. We ask that you help us preserve our values and convictions as we navigate through a time where our freedoms are being threatened. We know that the people in our country who have resolved to a mentality of hatefulness and behave with acts of violence do not know your love. They act out in reckless fear because they do not know who they are. We pray for those whose hearts and minds remain closed, manipulated, and distracted, that you will awaken them using each one of us as a warrior of truth. We know that when we seek you, we are not given a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of self-control. Help lead us and guide us each day so that we may remain grounded in our strength and fearless to stand for what we know to be right and true. Help us each day to discern truth from the lies. Arm us with your might to protect our children and all who are vulnerable. We know you gave us freedom, and it is our great responsibility to protect it and stand for it at all costs. We are here today because we knew in our hearts that we had to do more than stay in the shadow of our keyboards. We are here today to answer the call to lead without fear. We will not be silent, passive, or stagnant as our families, freedom, and faith are being threatened. We will stand boldly, surrendering and kneeling to no one but you. We know that when we boldly display our American flag, it is more than a sign of patriotism. The flag honors you as a reflection of the free will you intended for us to live by. We are free because of the rights you bestowed upon us. We will be silent no more in defending the great privilege of being an American and living in God's greatest country on earth, the land of the free, the home of the brave. Help us be brave so we can stay free, Almighty God. Amen. Amen. All right. I would say please stand, but you guys are already standing for our anthem. Oh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So I'm going to come down here because the next speaker is here. It's just a little joke for you, Gretchen. So Gretchen's going to come up here first. If you don't know Gretchen, she runs Code of Vets. It's an incredible organization. What she does to help our veterans is exactly what our world needs. And I think a lot of you guys do know what she does, because she takes just grassroots donations and she helps them when they don't have money to make the rent, when their kids need shoes or their kids need a backpack, whatever it is, she helps them and fills in the gaps. So what she does is absolutely incredible. So thankful she's here.
Oh my gosh, I am not a public speaker, but I decided to do this because you know what? It's time for us to take our freedoms back and to show what it's like to have true American spirit and to use our freedoms for something powerful, something beautiful, and something positive. So as we gather here today on this solemn 11th day of September, I think back to the day it happened. I was at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom with my 2 children watching it on Fox News. And I know each of one of us have our own memories of that day. Much like any national tragic event, it becomes indelible not only in our minds, but in our spirits. I think back to the words of President George W. Bush, who said, "A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundations of America." America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world. And no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the very best of America. Americans are resilient, but more than that, we are fighters. We fight for our country, we fight for our freedoms, and we fight for what's right. And that has been the case since the founding father has taken up this fight. And now, nearly 20 years later, we still see much of that spirit as so many trying to destroy the American that we are so proud of. And so how I use my freedoms is to honor my dad, a Vietnam veteran who lost his battle with PTSD in 2005. I get up and I go to work every day and I do not earn a paycheck. We have raised $2 million with 2% operating costs, and we assist veterans throughout the entire nation. We've helped veterans in every state of our country. All a veteran needs has to do is just say, "Hey, Gretchen, I'm in trouble. I don't know what I'm going to do." We've had veterans broken on their knees, shattered spirits, torn hearts, and we have stepped with them, and we have walked with them, and we have found them resources, and we have guided them back to the light, and they are now living beautiful lives. I had a veteran last year who called me from Knoxville, Tennessee, and said, "You don't know my name, and that's not important, but you saved my life." I was sitting at the kitchen table with a gun in one hand and my phone in the other. I was going through a horrific divorce, and I was done. I was losing my kids. I'm a raging alcoholic like my dad, and I don't see a path forward. And he said, my phone vibrated. And he said, so instead of pulling that trigger, I looked at that phone and there was a tweet from Code of Vets. And it was a tweet about hope. And it was a tweet that it can get better. We can do this together. We're stronger when we walk together. There's power in numbers. There's power and strength in prayer. And he said, I put down that gun and I cried and I prayed and I reached out to you. And that man is still living. and he still has a heartbeat, and he still matters. He's got his voice. It worked out. And sometimes all of these vets need is a know that they matter. And I don't know, do I have any vets out there? I'm an Air Force veteran myself. I'm wearing these for you. Today, I'm wearing these dog tags for each and every veteran who have worn a set of dog tags to secure our freedoms. And now it's our turn to rise up, veterans, to speak, to be a powerful voice, to take it back, to walk with President Trump while he's working so hard to secure our nation. We have the power. We have the numbers. We can no longer be silent. God's got us. I don't know about you, but I believe in two things, and that's God and the United States of America.
Talk about a popular line. I mean, that's an easy. Well, I got to turn it down for myself. Actually, I'm a little too loud, so I'll stay far away. But I'm actually going to just go ahead and introduce. Next up is Robert Michaels from Serve and Protect. His organization helps officers who are going through traumatic times themselves, and they help with a lot of the officer suicide problems.
There we go. How many of you have seen what's... There we go. I'm not a rock star. How many of you have seen what's going on with law enforcement in the news? Do you like it? How about that? I was a police officer in Norfolk, Virginia. I was a detective. I was an MP with the National Guard. I did 30 years in the music business, not in prison, but in the music business. And there is a similarity. But I was sitting in church one day, and God put on my heart to start Serve and Protect. Here's something you probably don't know. More police, firefighters, and corrections officers die by suicide than in the line of duty. You see all the numbers about how many have been shot and killed. More have committed suicide. They've lost hope. Imagine what they're thinking about as they see people and the things that are said. There was actually a protest in Oakland because police chased the suspect and the suspect killed himself. So they had a riot. Not because police killed him, but because he killed himself. You can't believe what you hear on the news. Police officers are noble. They're brave, just like firefighters. I wouldn't be a corrections officer and go into that pit, but they do because they're honorable and they're noble. What we do, when I started Serve and Protect, it was me and a telephone. Since 2011, we've placed more than 6,500 in treatment around the country for post-traumatic stress. They call us, we find out where they are, a zip code, we get their insurance information, we find out what's going on, and we go to work. There are now 35 of us. And we find a therapist that's in their community, and we interview each one we refer to make sure they understand the job. Because I can tell you, when you're a cop, you ain't right to begin with. Who takes a job running into buildings that people are shooting at you, or firefighters? My brother-in-law was a firefighter. You know, guys, there's only one source of hope, and we know where that is. We have a Bible study called Guns and Hoses. Yeah, Axl Rose is getting no money from me. But the point is, it's a private Bible study because we give these guys a chance to express doubt and fear. We don't charge anything for what we do. We're completely nonprofit.
I was going to lift this up so they can hear you.
Oh.
We got some people who can't hear you.
Well, I knocked it off the last time. So, we don't charge anything for what we do. We're on the internet at serveprotect.org. We're on Facebook at Serve Protect. If you see a police officer, thank him. If you see a firefighter, thank them. You normally don't see corrections officers because they go from there to home. But these guys are working long hours. Imagine what happened when COVID hit. They lost their part-time jobs. Their spouse had to knock off work. So it killed them financially. Our calls are up 250% since COVID hit. And then you've got all the craziness. Retirements, resignations are at an all-time high. Recruitment is in the toilet. Because who wants to be a police officer when you do your job. In Virginia, they just took immunity away from the police officers. So if somebody puts on handcuffs and they say that's too tight, they can sue them. You see, our guys need protection. First of all, from Almighty God. But secondly, from people in the community. You've got to stand for these guys. You've got to back them. Back the blue isn't just a phrase, it's a reality. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So we want to do something unique. We have a list of names of veterans who are here, and we want to honor them individually. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go through each one of the people. The two girls who were here earlier, their grandma's name is Patsy. I want to thank her for being here. Her husband, Mike Rice, served in Vietnam. He served in law enforcement for 30 years, and he passed away from an Agent Orange-related illness from his service in Vietnam. Mike's honored right here in Veterans Park, and so many others like him right beside him. Today here we have Jim Pogue, U.S. Navy veteran, served in Vietnam. Jim Schuler, U.S. Navy veteran. Nick Guzman, sergeant in the Army for 10 years. David Leroux, which, by the way, we had a big argument about how your name's pronounced, and my wife's probably correct. But David Leroux, Army veteran, thank you for your service. Danny Thomas, Army veteran. Jim McCord, U.S. Navy. Wesley Stinson, U.S. Marines. Frederick Arnold, U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander for 16 years in the U.S. Navy and also a colonel in the Tennessee State Guard for a decade. Tom Hutchinson, First Lieutenant, U.S. Army, served in Vietnam. John Peterson, currently serving in the Tennessee State Guard. Angela Thomas, police dispatcher at Vanderbilt University. So this is kind of crazy, you know. But I'm actually not even going to say the active police officers' names because there's, you know, we've had some people say some not so nice things about our police. So I do want us, though, to turn around. There's some police over there and just honor them and give them a round of applause for their service. Thank you, police. We appreciate you guys. And we got Keith Knight, U.S. Marine. If there's anybody else who served who I didn't name, please raise your hand so we can recognize you too. See if there's anybody we missed. There we go. We got one right there. So if everybody give her a round of applause. Thank you so much for your service. So, fair warning now. We tried to keep the first half of this non-political, but from here on out, if you're offended by politics, you should probably leave. Because we're going to dive right into it. But I do just want to say, you know, I'm just so incredibly proud of everybody here. You know, I really didn't think this many people would show up. When we talked about it, like I said earlier, I thought maybe 25, 30 people would show up. So it's just amazing that, you know, everybody's come out to be seen and to show that we really do support our community, our law enforcement, and freedom. So you're right. Hell yeah. So next up, we have Gary Humble from Tennessee Stands. He's, you know, some of you guys may be a fan of what he's doing, some of you might not, but what he's doing is fighting for freedom, whether you're a big fan of, let's say, the governor or the school system or not, but he is suing to ensure that we have freedom everywhere we go. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but it is a necessary component of ensuring that we preserve our freedom. So thank you.
Okay. Well, sorry that I have to be I really didn't want to be the Okay. The political guy, but so here we go. And I'm a dad. I live here in Franklin, and I've got second and third graders who were in Williamson County schools. I recently just pulled them out, and like so many, I refuse this understanding of what they're trying to push on us called the new normal, and I reject it wholeheartedly. Um, so so for me, like many of you, was already really frustrated at some of the things that were happening in Tennessee. And I know if you live here in Williamson County, you're looking around you thinking, gosh, how did this happen in Williamson County? How did this get here? I met a lot of people that moved here from California. It's like, I moved here to get away, but it's kind of the same thing. Not quite, but close. And so I want to read some things from the Tennessee Constitution. the next time. No, we elect them to do a job, and we elect them to follow the law, and we elect them to execute the statutes that the General Assembly has already passed by the state. Okay, because those are the laws that we pass. We place those limitations on them. So there is nowhere in state statute that gives a school board or a superintendent the power to regulate healthcare. Guess who has the power to regulate their children's healthcare? You and me. And so we are going to take that power back, or should I say, we will not let it go. We will not let them have it. I want to close with this. There's a statement in our Constitution, again, that has been there since 1796 that no one talks about. In fact, about a week ago at the ad hoc committee that's hearing the emergency powers, they had a joint commission between our General Assembly, and Professor Glenn Roberts, who is a constitutional law professor from UT, testified that Article 11, Section 16, while it's been in our Constitution since 1796, has never been heard in a court. They've never talked about it. They've never had an opinion on it. And I'm about to tell you why, because it says this: the Declaration of Rights, which is everything in Article 1 of our Constitution, hereto prefixed is declared to be part of the Constitution of the state, and listen, shall never be violated on any pretense whatever. And to guard against transgression of the high powers we have delegated, we declare that everything in the Bill of Rights contained is accepted out of the general powers of government and shall forever remain inviolate. What that means is that we hold all the cards, and all of our rights to life, liberty, property, business, privileges, right to worship, right to bear arms, right to an expedient trial by jury, right to vote, etc., et al., is not ever at any time, for any reason, under any circumstance, to be violated by anyone in the government, because it's been accepted out of the powers of government. The governor can't take it from you. The legislature can't pass a law to take it from you, because they can't take it from you, because we put that in our Constitution. And that's why we need to remember that that's in there. So I just want to encourage all of you to stand up for your rights. Don't give in to this nonsense. Don't be bullied. Know what your Constitution says. Stand with us and hold our elected officials accountable to operating only within the authority that we, the people, have given them, not the authority that they suppose that they have just because they want to do something. So I would invite you to go to TennesseeStands.org. You can see the resolution. You can see the complaint that we filed in court. I would encourage you, please sign the resolution and join with us. Share it. I would invite you to give. We are a 501c4. We are fully funding these efforts with donations. And so we've got 2 lawsuits going. And we're just asking Tennesseans to stand with us. We have to stand up against tyranny. No one's going to do it for us. Thanks for letting me be here today.
Thank you so much. So I'm at my part quick here to just introduce her. We've got Brenna Stewart. She's an amazing Second Amendment advocate. She stood strong in the face of a lot of, somebody said they were going to egg you here today. I don't see any eggs, but we'll have some people. People got your back here, so come on up.
Hi guys, my name's Brenna Spencer. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Louder.
Get up on the mic.
Okay. Hi, my name's Brenna Spencer. For those of you who don't know me, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I graduated from the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga 2 years ago. And for my graduation, I posted a picture with a Trump shirt and a gun. And you guys have seen it. Caused me a lot of hell, but here we are. And so after that happened, I received thousands upon thousands of death threats. People posted my address online. People posted pictures of my house, my car, everything online. Even ABC literally called the police on me because they thought I was doing something illegal, like ABC. Like what? Okay. So it was horrible. So all of this happened, and that was 2 years ago. I honestly didn't think that it could get any worse back then, but here we are today. And so now more than ever, I think that it's so much more important to carry a gun now, especially. You guys have seen the news. You guys see what happens. It's literally, I see so many of you carrying guns now. That's amazing. But what they try to dance around is that they don't want to take your guns, but they do want to take your guns. They absolutely do. They're going to tell you that they want common sense gun control. Does anybody know what that means? Common sense gun control?
It means no gun control.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm just here to tell you that keep bringing your guns, keep standing up for our Second Amendment because it's the most important. That's how you protect yourself. As you can see in the world, it's crazy. It's scary to even go outside. I love that we're all here. But yeah, so continue to stand up for the Second Amendment. I love seeing all your guns. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. To just add to her point, I don't want to belabor it, but when people do say they're not coming after your guns, they're not coming after your guns, they just want common sense. Well, I would ask you this. I don't know if any of you guys saw Beto O'Rourke when he went on live TV and he said, "I am going to take your guns. Yes, I am going to take them." And who did Joe Biden say he's going to put in charge of gun policy? Beto. There you go. So anybody who says that, they're either ignorant, they haven't seen it, or they're just lying because they want to pretend they're not doing something that they're actually doing, which is a common theme within Marxism. They lie, they project, and that's just the deal. So anyways, moving on, I want to introduce my wife. She's been an incredible human trafficking activist against human trafficking. She fights for every child, and she wants to see the end of this modern day slavery. So, want to bring her up. She's also a musician. You guys may have seen. She had a video that went viral this week. Don Jr. and the Trump family, they all tweeted it. It was, everything that they have done to end human trafficking, all the action they've taken in text form, along with this song, and it's beautiful. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Matriarchsongs.com. It's beautiful.
Hi, everybody. We're having some technical difficulties. So a lot of people ask me, how did you get into this work? And, what motivated you? And to be honest, I was very ignorant to this issue. And I'm a mom of 3. We left California a little over a year ago. And the culture there had become so intolerant of conservative values. And ironically, what made me open my eyes to the issue of human trafficking was the sexualization of children happening in schools in California. I started paying attention to the curriculum. I started paying attention to them teaching racism and Marxist ideologies into school. The more I paid attention, the more I realized that there's an agenda to normalize pedophilia in our country, and we all need to know that this is happening. Just last night, there's a viral thing going around with this new show on Netflix. You guys I'm sure have heard about it. I'm going to try to keep this PG for children here. But this is happening. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. It's no longer people overreacting. And I've been talking about this for years. I've lost friends over it. I've lost community over it. But it's something that I saw so clearly was happening. And I'm here to tell you that it is happening. You can see it for yourself. And here's what we can do. When we talk about solving human trafficking, I want to do more than post a black square, a rainbow square, a human trafficking square. I don't care if I get drugged through the mud for making it political, because it's 2020 and everything is political. You're not for, or you're not against human trafficking if you're for open borders. 20,000 children are trafficked across our border. Don't sit here and tell me you care about human trafficking if you're advocating for open borders. If you're for defunding the police, you're not for solving human trafficking. We don't need to defund our police. We need to defend our police. 90% of our police don't have the resources they need. They don't have the trafficking units. They don't have the drug-sniffing dogs that also are trained to search out the devices that these pedophiles and child predators store their content on. They don't have the resources, and we need to support them. They need more funding. They need more support. Next, I want to talk about Planned Parenthood. If it's already reason enough that they kill babies, including more black babies that are born alive in New York, okay? If that's not enough, they're organ trafficking babies. They're aiding and abetting traffickers, covering up child rape. They're covering up child abuse, and they're covering up trafficking. Traffickers use Planned Parenthood to maintain their merchandise. So yes, these solutions are policy oriented, and it requires us not being afraid. If we're afraid to talk about politics, if we're afraid to put out a flag, how the heck are we going to fight human trafficking if we're afraid? So lastly, I want to talk about what we can do. I'm just one person, but you can go to my website. I use my music as a platform. I don't care about making money as a musician. I don't care about anything else. I'm using it for my children and for all the children that can't march, they can't rally, and they have nobody speaking for them. And you guys are the only ones speaking. You're the ones here. You're the ones brave enough to come to your town square to stand for your freedom. So it is dependent upon you to fight and lead this movement. So please go to my website, Matriarch Songs, because I do have an actionable list there, and also a list of the Trump accomplishments that Trump has done to fight trafficking, which is unprecedented. Our president has done more to fight human trafficking than any other president in the history of our country. This is one of many reasons why I support Trump. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. I'm going to try something real quick. I'm just going to disconnect this and reconnect it. Alrighty, that seems like it helped. Sometimes you just got to blow on it. I don't know if you guys remember, like the little video games, you got to just blow on it to fix it sometimes. So next up, we have CJ Pearson. He came all the way from Alabama. I was confused. I thought he was in Georgia, but he actually came from Alabama and came down here to come and speak up and be a part of this movement, to rise up and to use our voices and to say, we're here. We're not going to let leftists take over everything in America. We are going to show our faces. The silent majority cannot afford to be silent anymore. Come on up. Hello? There we go. We have a new chord.
The woman always takes care of everything.
God bless America, right? God bless America. Now, guys, it feels good to say those words, because if you listen to the left, you would think that it's not okay to say those words anymore. But I tell you today that it is good to say God bless America. And I know that I'm safe to say that because I'm around patriots tonight. People that love this country, who are going to fight for this country and leave it all out on the field to ensure that people, young and old, have a country to inherit one day. A country to fight for one day. It's a great and amazing thing. I knew when I was at a Republican event when we opened it with the pledge, we followed it with prayer, and then we all stood for the national anthem. That's what makes us different. That's what sets us apart from them, is that we love this country. We love the values upon which it was built. We have an appreciation for freedom and liberty, and we will do all that we can to ensure that it is preserved. We will not sit idly by as the left, the far left, rages and strives to take away our freedom and our liberty. We recognize the fact that we are in a perpetual fight to ensure that our freedoms are protected, that they're safeguarded, and that the Ilhan Omars, the AOCs, they will not win. The Nancy Pelosi's, they will not win. All of those people who say that they speak for people my age and my generation, I'm here to say, you don't speak for me. You certainly don't speak for me. I don't want to live in America that is lawless. I don't want to live in America with open borders. I don't want to live in America where we tolerate things like child pedophilia from Netflix series like Cuties. I'm not okay with that. And you shouldn't be either. And the reality of it is that we find ourselves in a time, like Reagan said, well, we are again at a time of choosing. Well, we must decide what type of nation we will be. Will we be a nation defined by, again, lawlessness, open borders? We'll be a nation of opportunity, a nation of freedom, a nation of liberty, the beacon on the hill of freedom and liberty to all. Will we be that nation? Because that is the nation that I want to be. That's the nation that I want to be. And it is not too late. But we have to realize that we will not win that battle. We will not win that fight with complacency. We will not win that fight by being the silent majority anymore. It's time for us to get loud. It's time for us to get rowdy. If they can burn down businesses, loot, and riot, we can come here peacefully and say that we support Donald J. Trump and that we will make America great again. We can do that. We can do that. If they can take to the streets, destroy everything in their path and say they're doing it because Black Lives Matter while they destroy Black-owned businesses, you can come out here with your AR, you can come out here with your Trump 2020 shirt, and you should not be ashamed of it because you love this country. And patriotism is nothing to be ashamed about at all. Nothing to be ashamed about at all. And on days like this especially, it's 9/11. And sadly, we don't learn enough about this in school today, but when I think about days like this, I don't just think about two towers falling. I think about what happened in America after that. There was an enemy, a foreign enemy, who came to our country, who sought to tear this country down. They sought to drive us apart. They sought to strip away our freedoms, our liberties, and instill fear within all of our hearts. But we didn't let them. We didn't let them. From the ashes, we rose. And we said that we would still be the free nation that we were. We would continue to be the beacon of liberty and freedom that we are. That we wouldn't allow some terrorists to come into our country and lead us to living a life of fear every single day. But now we face a different enemy, a different battle. Not all of our enemies are foreign anymore, but they're domestic. And we have to realize that we, again, are in a battle for the soul and spirit of this nation. And it's not a battle I'm just going to sit and watch happen. It's not a battle I'm just going to sit and let other people take up arms and go and fight on their own. But I'm going to join alongside them. And I think I have an obligation to do so being a young person, because I've got to tell you, when I grow up, I don't want to inherit AOC's America. I don't know what that America looks like. It probably looks a lot like Venezuela, and I have no plans to visit there anytime soon. It's not my tourist spot. I'm sorry. But I think that we are in a time where we can really change the way this country is going. The November election is almost just 50-something days away. And it will decide, again, the course that this nation will go. It will determine what many of you, your kids, the type of country they will inherit, your grandkids. That is how big the stakes of this election are. It's about the type of nation we will be, the identity of our country, the fabric of our nation. And we decide how history will be written come November. We decide whether or not Joe Biden will be president of these United States. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, because we're going to have 4 more years of Donald Trump come November, and we are going to make America great again. Full stop. Full stop. They will not win. They can play all the games they want. They can play this public health crisis game and all this stuff, but they will not win. We are not a people that live in fear, but we are a people that run towards liberty. We are a people that run towards freedom. And regardless of how hard they try to lie to us, mislead us, and deceive us, we will not be fooled. And here's the deal. The media would like for us to all believe that you people don't exist. That y'all are the deplorables, right? Whatever that even means. I'm not even sure what that means. I'm applying. We are. But here's the deal. We do exist. This is bigger than a Joe Biden rally, actually, tonight, right? So I think it is undisputed that we do indeed exist, and that we will come out in huge numbers, whether or not you're silent or you are rowdy. We will ensure that Donald Trump is the president for the next 4 years. We will make America great again, and come after that, we will keep America great. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the great state of Tennessee. Thank you.
Thank you, TJ. All right, I'm going to get rid of this thing. I like to walk around a little bit.
let's just take this guy off here. Just throw this. There we go. All right. All right, guys. Hold on.
Sit down.
There we go. We're live. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. You may have to turn me down a little bit. Am I too loud? All right. So first I want to expand on a couple things and I'll get into what I wanted to talk about. So she was talking about that Netflix film. For those of you who don't know, I'm a director, a Hollywood director. I've directed tons of huge celebrities. And I did about the dumbest thing you can do as a director in Hollywood. I came out as a Republican. And I knew what I was getting into, but I did it on purpose because I saw what they were doing. It's a little bit different when you're in the belly of the beast. You see how the sausage is made. You see what their real goals are. And seeing that, I can tell you that's why we've been raising the alarm about films like what they just brought out on Netflix. We did it. I gave up a very cushy job making ridiculous money to tell the truth about what's happening. And they are targeting our children. And I want you to make no mistake about that. It is our job to protect our kids at this point. And if you think that you canceling your Netflix account doesn't make a difference, it does make a difference. Please cancel it. What they're doing, they need to be sent a message that this is not okay. We're not going to normalize this. This is not what you do with little girls. And I just want to note something in case you have a conversation with somebody about this and they misinterpret the situation with that movie. The director and producer of that movie, they auditioned 700 girls that were between the ages of 10 and 12 for that movie. All of them had no acting experience, and they were all from different countries in Eastern Europe. That is not normal. You don't do that. I've done castings my whole life. We have an actress here who I know. That is not normal, correct? Not normal. It is absolutely not normal. So definitely cancel those accounts. I will jump in, though, to the normal speech that I was planning to give. I am going to kind of go off the cuff a little bit, though, because some things happened as we organized this rally. This sort of changed what I wanted to talk about. And, you know, I think maybe I should start with why we did this. We did this because we were watching TV just like all of you guys have. And we saw the night David Dorn died, we saw everything getting carried live on TV. And my wife, Landon, who spoke earlier, she said, we have to do something. We can't just type about it. We can't just, tweet about it. We have to do something and show our police that we support them. So this was her idea. And when she said that, like I said earlier, I thought it'd be 20, 30 people. Now we have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's got to be something like 70 Biden rallies. It's, all at once. So basically, this is his whole election season right here. We just need to put you guys in rooms and put little circles around you. And then we'll have just a ridiculous, we could even, his campaign could actually take a cue from me. So I'll speak directly to the streaming platform. Biden's team, it would be a lot easier to get all the people at once in a bunch of different rooms with a bunch of different circles. You could knock it all out in one day. One day, just take him room from room and he's done and put him back in the basement. Yep, exactly. So I want to ask you guys really why you're here. And you don't need to answer now. I want you to think about this because I'm going to tell you why I'm here. I'm here because I wouldn't be here without freedom. My mom, my family came from Cuba. They escaped during the revolution. They had everything stolen from them. And so when I say I wouldn't be here, I literally mean I would not be born. My sisters would not be born. My children would not be born if not for freedom in America. And that is why I'm here. That's why this is so important to me, because I understand that those veterans' names that I named earlier, they may not realize it, but they bought freedom for other people like me, and I did nothing to deserve it. They did it because they love this country and they love freedom enough, and guess what? They believe that all lives matter. So they went ahead and they laid it down, risked their own life for every American life. It doesn't matter what color you are. And that's the beauty of service. So that's why we wanted to honor people today. But I think this microphone is something else. I'll tell you what, it's getting a timeout when we're done. So I did want to talk to you guys about the similarities in Cuba, because I think a lot of people don't recognize just how dangerous this moment is that we're in. In Cuba, there wasn't just a horde of communists saying, we want to turn Cuba into a communist country. That didn't happen. It was a whole lot of quiet little moves. Academia, their culture, everything. They made small infiltrations over time. And then eventually came the revolutionaries. When they came around, it started small, destructive, kind of like what happened when Obama was president. It was sort of a primer for what was to come. And then as time went on, they started to divide people by race. So darker Cubans were supposed to hate lighter Cubans. And then they went after the culture. They started destroying businesses. They started beating police in the street. They started killing innocent people when they wouldn't give up their property. Then somebody would rise up and they would say, this is not okay. I'm not okay with this, and I don't want to be a part of it. And they'd be thrown in jail if they were lucky. By the time people spoke up, that little ember of freedom started to show, and you could see there was a little spark. At that point, it was too late. Every single time they could extinguish it. And that's my warning to America. We're here in Tennessee, and we can't get complacent because we're in a red state. Because let me tell you what, I see a lot of things happening that are very similar to what we saw in California. Okay? When you have schools, just 10 miles away, like Harpeth Hall, they canceled George Washington Day because apparently George Washington is a racist now. Does that make sense to anybody here? Doesn't make sense to me. Okay? So, I think one of the things people sort of miss with this is there's some of those sort of softer people that are silent, and they go, well, maybe we could give this thing or that thing. And the reality is, I'm kind of curious, how many of you guys have read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? You guys read that book? If you have kids, you probably read it. The premise is basically, once you give a mouse a cookie, that's not enough. They're going to ask for milk because their throat is parched, okay? That is a very PG version of what I'm talking about, okay? You take down one statue, that's not enough. We've already seen at this point in time, before they have any power, before they have any real power, they've already taken down statues of our founders. They've taken down statues of a guy named Matthias Baldwin. If you look him up, he was an abolitionist that literally made schools for black children, that helped free the slaves. They've torn down statues of Abraham Lincoln, the man who literally freed the slaves. It is never going to be enough for them. This is all about scaring you into silence. So if you're somebody that's watching, over there and you're not sure what to think about us, the silence is what killed people in Cuba. And so I want to tell you why I kind of veered off from what my planned script was. About 3 days ago, we got an email. And this lady is a beautiful email. She wrote this beautiful email. And she was saying, I believe in everything you guys talk about. I followed you guys. I love you guys. I want to be there so badly. Me and my husband are like the biggest supporters. We're so happy you're doing this. We can't come, though. And the reason she couldn't come isn't because they had another event or it was just not enough notice. She was deathly afraid. She was scared for her life that she would not be there for the birth of her grandchild. I want you guys to think about that we already have people at that place, good people who live right here with us who are afraid to come to an event on 9/11 to recognize the service of veterans, police, and our first responders. It has gone too far already. Much too far. And if we don't stand up, And if we don't stand up, the same thing that happened in Cuba is going to happen here. But I can tell you this, there are people like me here who know what this cost. My life being here, it costs somebody else their life. It costs many men and women their lives for people like me to be here and be alive. And we will not run from socialism. We will not run from communism. We will stand and fight until we cannot fight anymore. If that costs us, whatever it costs us, it is worth it to preserve this country for not just our children, but their children and their children after. There has never been an experiment that went as well as this one has. And yes, there are growing pains. You'll see all those things. But, what's happening right now, another thing I want to cover is in Cuba, the media was complicit in what happened. You had these revolutionaries who infiltrated, like I said, their newspapers and things like that. And they ran cover for the revolution. In fact, Fidel Castro, even in the United States media they did, Fidel Castro, after he took power and admitted that he was a communist, which happened afterwards, he said, we're Marxists after he came into power. The ones now are so brazen, they're saying it to your face. Okay, he didn't even say it to Cubans before when he was doing this. When he was stealing property, he still denied he was a Marxist. BLM's founders are telling you, I am a trained Marxist, and Marxism is the goal. They make no qualms about it. If somebody's watching and they've never seen that clip, look it up. Founder BLM, Marxist. Very easy to find, okay? And that seems to be, what's happening here. Because let me tell you what I saw the other day. The same day I got that email, I got a headline shot to my phone from Apple. And it said, 93% of Black Lives Matter protests are peaceful. I want to ask you guys a question, okay? And I do actually want you guys to answer. Could you guys imagine Pearl Harbor happens, okay? And the next day, the entire media in unison, and this was not one outlet, this was CNN, Time Magazine, MSN, it was everywhere. It was in every mainstream outlet. I want you to imagine the next day them saying, 93% of America was peaceful yesterday. Could you see that happening? Does that make sense to you? No. What they're doing is they're running cover for a Marxist organization because they are Marxists. That is what the president means when he says that they're acting as the enemy of the people. That does not mean that every single person in the media is. That means that we know who's there, we know what they're doing, and we do know that they are working to advance Marxism. Okay? Now, I stand before you, the son of a Cuban refugee. And like I said, I owe my life to every officer, every veteran. And I hope that at the end of this, everybody doesn't just have that sense of community and that sense of I'm not alone, but instead is ready to do something to fight for freedom. Because at the end of the day, the only way this country is going to survive is if we fight. And so after this is over, I have all your emails, I think, for the most part. If there's anybody who doesn't have the email from Rally for Freedom Franklin at Gmail, go ahead and let us know and we'll get it after. We're going to send out an action item list. And that action item list is going to give you a bunch of different things that you can do, okay? And I hope you do them. Some of you might be thinking to yourself, well, I'm just one person. I'm sure some other people from the rally are going to do it. I can't make that big of a difference. I want you to look around. Look to your right and left. Does it look like we can make a difference together? I think it does. Now to circle back to 9/11. On 9/11, a couple incredible things happened after the tragedy. One of them was that people almost immediately recognized that, wow, I had never realized when I walk by people every day, I'm walking past some people who would be willing to run into a burning building for me that was about to topple and come and save me. I've never spoken to them, I don't know them, but I walk past them. And it gave Americans a sense of hope that there is goodness. Despite all the tragedy, despite all the pain, despite all the loss, we saw the best in each other. And the media wasn't facilitating anybody trying to change that. And that's no small thing, that's a big deal. So what happened next? On 9/12, there was that sense of unity, right? I think that was a special feeling that everybody recognized we were unified. What happened that day was that we didn't turn to each other and say, hey, you're an Asian American, you're a white American, you're a black American, you're a Latino American, you're this. We didn't say that. We were Americans to each other. Just Americans. Because we knew that to our enemies, when we were down the barrel of their gun, it didn't matter if we had black skin, white skin, brown skin, any skin. They knew we were American and they wanted to kill us and take our freedom. So how do we get that back? We need to recognize what this movement is and be very, very, very certain that we take action. Because if we don't, I promise we are going to end up in the same position Cuba ended up in. It did not happen like this. It happened over time, and we're on that same trajectory if we don't stop it. So I hope everybody takes that action item list seriously and does something about it. And I will note this. There seems to be some confusion from people on the left who think when we are talking about Black Lives Matter, that we are saying that Black lives don't matter. So I want to make very clear that when we say that every life matters, we are talking about Black Americans. We're talking about every American. Our issue is with a Marxist organization that seeks to fundamentally change America, and they don't hide it. Go to their website, and you will see in their What We Believe section, it says, we believe in disrupting the Western nuclear family. There is no greater example of the success of the Western nuclear family than Franklin, Tennessee. This whole town runs on family. If anybody should be standing up and saying, absolutely not will we allow these people in power, it is Franklin, Tennessee. So we all better do everything we can to stop them because they are not hiding what their goals are. Their goals, they say explicitly in that About Me, that they believe in raising our children in a village. That means they want to undermine your parenting. They want to undermine your rights. And they seek to be the ones who raise your child. And that's not okay with me. So I'm going to continue standing up and I'm going to continue fighting for freedom. And I hope you do too. God bless you all. God bless our police. God bless the veterans. And God bless America. Actually, I should have also said, we're going to hang out for a little bit after this. So if anybody wants to hang out, we'll be here.
Woo! Why are you doing that? Okay. Huh? I wish it was just a little longer, so I didn't have to like hold it.
we spent over 50 years in Illinois, and finally we're like, we gotta this. Can't do it anymore. Can't do taxes. Can't do. I mean, two of our last 5 governors were present, so it's like, it's time to go. It's time to roll. We are going on June this year, so 15 weeks.
I don't know.
Oh, I love it. It was home just like that for us. This was our vacation for 5 years. Yeah. What's that? Oh, because, we were talking about leaving, and she said, if you give me 4 seats, I'll move anywhere with you. And I found this little town called Franklin. We go check it out. 5 years, so now 6 years ago. We came here, and we were like, yep, let's do it. And I was running a company, so I decided not to make it today. And finally we were like, we're out, let's go. Love it here. This is well,
That guy shoots his hat out. That guy's shirt right there. I know, Matriarch song.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we love it. We absolutely love Tennessee. Before we even moved here, I told her, I said, I really feel like I'm in Tennessee.
Can you give your sister flags to hand out? Please? This one? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, can you hand out the rest of those flags, please? Bella. Faith. 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 Oh my gosh. Can you tell her that little boy wants a flag? She can't hear me. Noelle, get your sister. Get your sister. This kid, he wants a flag. Over here. And his sister too. His sister and the baby carrot.
Is that your... Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Great night.
Thank you, sir.
You guys...
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to happen all the way up to the election. They've already said that.
For this thing?
Ruin our town. I'm trying to get
I know. I went to my doctor 2 weeks ago. That's why I'm here. My sister, we just got her here. We're bringing in as many Republicans.
I've already told my wife, I said, if anybody gets in my face,
Did you want a flag? Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah.
we haven't been since, we used to go down there every week.
I follow like I'm so sorry.
Look at your hat. Don't you be sorry. You're so cute.
Gosh. I was just talking and I just wasn't paying attention. Are you friends of Robbie and are you?
I'm his sister.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you Robbie's sister? Oh, y'all look just alike. Y'all do. Your hair is thank you. And I was going, I had your camera. If you take the picture. Anyway, stuck in my arms.
I know.
That they're happy with how that went. It was amazing.
Yeah, it needed to be said.
Have you gone to a Trump rally?
No, this is the first one. So where's the next one?
Well, I mean to go like.
Did she make it? No.
Oh, she's representing from.
Oh, I'm not sure.
But
I live in Virginia. I'm just
No, when was it?
Okay. Is he coming
Oh,
soon?
and I live in
so
an
I
area
drove
where they
hate
hate Trump.
I went to Chattanooga.
I mean, and it's so sad because I'm like, you're the ones that are going to be targeted. It's the richest county in the country.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Hey, is there a doctor?
Someone passed out. Oh my gosh, it scared me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
That's your sister. Is it Landon? Tell me about this.
When you subscribe, I have I like your hat.
They're cute. Turn it off? Here.
Let's ask Uncle.
Oh, ask. Sorry. No, that's okay.
We just have to. Yeah,
Thank you.
We just have to stay within that area. We're just having a little issue with it. He will just go that way, which is where we're going anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm not afraid of anybody.
No, somebody's having like either a heat stroke or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
That's awesome. We just want to stay out of the way.
We have it, but I'll go on the site.
Can you take it up? I think just hand it to him. Just hand it to him.
Good. Because we didn't this time. We're still oh, sorry. They're handing me the stream.
You need to come to Grace Chapel.
We
go to Grace Chapel. You need to meet Steve Berger.
We're trying different ones right now, so that's actually a good thing to know.
Yeah.
We'll try it because we're still trying to find like our.
We've been
our
open
spot.
since the first Sunday in June. The
Really?
campus, it's got 185 acres, and he's all about.
I just have to end this real quick.
But seriously, try Grace. I think you'd love it.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I
your
appreciate
message
it.
would resonate with.
I really appreciate you
folks.
guys coming.
Thank you, Robbie. Thanks for doing it.
Definitely.
Is Landon around?
She is. She's red bandana over there.
Say hello to him.
Thank you so much.
I'm Robert J. American Handshake.
Yeah.
I'm Robert Jason.
Here, let me turn this off so that it doesn't.
I don't care. I'm in Dr.
Oh.
I have a recording studio in Brentwood. I'm songwriting for music here for 26 years. My wife and I have this. I appreciate your Netflix message about that.
Thank you.
If you need, I signed something for a lady that was doing the Republican, because I've donated.
That's not ours.
No, I know that. That's why I'm coming to you. If you need my recording studio for any PSAs at all, I'm right central, right on the Chenoweth subdivision.
Thank you so much. Will you send that to that email so that I have it?
Which email is it?
So on that website there, it says Rally for Freedom. There's an email right at the top.
Can I use my phone? And
yeah.
I got a good memory, just a little short.
Because I will take you up on that, and in fact, we're doing.
I've done it for some others.
We'll be needing to do that.
So I've contributed. I can show you I get 30 texts a day.
So yeah, I know. They're a little crazy with the texts.
Oh,
a little crazy.
Little?
Just a little bit.
Let me just go. You need to talk to somebody.
Yeah. You guys talk about the Trump campaign?
They're a little crazy with the text.
Yeah. I always like it's like, did you shut your phone off?
Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to turn this thing off real quick. Sorry, guys. I'm ending the stream. Yes, he is 7 feet tall. Hold on. Somebody wanted to see. He's 7 feet tall here.
7-1 Slim. If you want a little
7-1 Slim. So, bye guys. We'll see you guys soon.